Hey, it's Coach Pryor at the Pryor Baseball Farm, and I'm just going to take a minute to talk a little bit about pitch shaping. And, we're going to talk about some of the different pitches. One of the main ones that we kind of train here, obviously your four-seam, two-seam, change up. But the other one that kids really work to develop is the curveball. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the curveball today for the most part, and just some of the drills that we do with creating that spin. Once we know a kid has really good arm action and a safe arm action and safe throwing mechanics, we can get them to start learning how to spin the ball the proper way for a curveball. Right out of the gate, I just want to put to bed any myths with the curveball. Curveball does not hurt your arm, all right? That is a myth, all right? What hurts your arm is learning to throw a curveball, one, the wrong way, two, you have poor mechanics and you attempt to throw the curveball, or you attempt to throw the curveball the wrong way with poor mechanics. It's like putting gasoline on a fire. So it's not really the curveball that causes arm problems with Little League or whatever age you're coaching the curveball. The curveball is pretty much thrown, I wouldn't say pretty much, it is thrown like a football. And with that, the arm is in a good slot, the arm's in a good position, and we don't see a lot of football guys that are getting arm injuries for throwing a football. So I can prove that and show that when we get into more of the mechanics of a curveball. But for today's purpose in this section, we're talking about shaping pitches and shaping the curveball. So let's talk a little bit about the curveball. Traditional grip on the curveball is really getting off to the side right here and then getting this seam right here so that I can pull with my fingers here and I can use my thumb on that other seam, and we can really get this kind of motion, because as we come through, when I come through, I'm going to be coming through, my hand's going to be kind of in this direction, and that ball is really going to just kind of flip out of my fingers, to be fair. So we try to do some things that will help with creating that spin. One of the things that we always like to have the kids to kind of like snap your fingers and just spin the ball. Just this little drill right here gives a lot of people a lot of fits. They can't do it. They can't snap their fingers and get a tight spin on the ball. So that's one thing that we do, is just work on snapping the ball and getting a nice tight spin. But that is, traditional curveballs right here. There are guys that will throw it from the horseshoe right here. Guys have been known to throw it this is kind of like a Little League curveball through the two seams. But at the end of the day, regardless of the grips, there is really no rhyme or reason to a grip. Explore lots of different grips. Find out what works for you. Some guys like to throw the curveball and they like to knuckle it, all right? So we're going to knuckle the ball to throw that curveball, because really we want to get this finger out of the way. We want the pressure to be down here in these ring finger and middle finger and in through the thumb. That's where we want that pressure to be. We don't really want it to be on this first finger, so this just kind of lays on top, or some guys will just get it out of the way altogether and they'll knuckle the ball to be able to throw that curveball. Again, explore the things that work for you. Don't give up on it. Keep going, trying different things, because you never know when something's going to stick and hit, and then you're off to the races. One of the things that we do to learn the spin are a couple of things, and I got a couple training aids here. This is a flat ball. You'll see that this ball is flat. You can see right here, it's very flat. Again, you can get these online with Amazon. This is play9.com. I love these balls, like some of their products. But again, if we're working fastball, we can be here. We can play catch with this, so we get a nice spin, true spin with this. Back in the day, back when I was younger, we used hockey pucks, and we used to flip hockey pucks, but this works the same way. So if I wanted to play catch with the camera guys here, I would flip this out, and my ball would come out like a hockey puck, and it'd just be end over end, and you'd see it flipping and kind of rotating with that flat end here, 12-6. So we're just trying to flip that out and get a nice spin with the flat ball. So flat ball works really well. The other thing we do when we're doing any of our throws, we would have a screen. Usually we have a 7-foot screen right in front of us. So when we throw, I would have to throw up and out over the screen. So I'm going to throw over the screen to my partner and kind of drop it into him. And then he would throw it back to me, and we'd go back and forth with the throws over the screen. And that's what we call our curveball flips. Okay, so you got the flat ball. Sometimes we'll also do this with a curveball with a softball. The only reason why we use a softball is, if we got some guys with some bigger hands, it's nice for them. Even the guys with the smaller hands, because you really have to work to get the spin on this ball. So if we're coming through, you're going to really have to work on tension because obviously your smaller hands. You got to really hold on to this ball. You got to get a hold of it, and you got to really feel that squeeze and that pressure point, and really work to see and exaggerate that spin. So this ball won't lie as much as sometimes with a baseball you can cheat a little bit. You get some cross spin. If your coach that's watching it may not see that in particularly. But with the softball, you can really see the spin and see if we're getting good spin or not, and where we need to make the corrections accordingly. So softball is really good as well. We'll also use a can, and again, I just had what was ever in the barn here, my wasp spray here, but just to give you an exaggeration, usually what we'll do is we'll take a tennis can. We'll either leave the tennis balls in the can so it has a little bit of weight, or we'll leave one ball in there so there's a little bit of tumbling. But basically, I'm going to take this and just grab it, okay? So then when I throw, I'm going to circle up. This almost like this can's going to be inside of my ear, okay? So if I was throwing to you guys in the camera, I'm here. You don't really see this. When I come through, I'm here, and I'm going to chuck this right out of my hand. So I come through. You can see I'm like this. I'm not like this. I'm not out here. I'm not over here. I'm in a good throwing position. Can's pretty much in my ear, and I'm going to rotate and throw it out. So if I'm coming into the camera, I'm here, and I'm going to throw. Then I'm going to have this thing tumble 12-6 all the way to my partner in a rainbow up and over the screen that we set up in front of us. So I'm going to throw up and over, and then this thing's going to tumble, and I'm really working on, just like throwing a football, I'm doing the same thing with the can. I'm throwing, okay? And you're just going to get that 12-6 tumble with the can, and you're trying to get good spin, and it gives you a nice feel for what that curveball is going to feel like. Now, I made reference to a football. That's another good way. You grab a football like a C, you got it here, and that's kind of how you throw the curveball. You're going to have the ball, and you're coming through. If I grab the baseball, I go from football to curveball grip, throw. It's the same C right here, okay? Throwing the football, throwing the curveball, okay? Those are a few drills that are really good that we use here at the farm between the softball, our baseball flips over the screen, our can throws, and then our flat ball throws. And then the last one we do is we have these throwing clubs. They just look like kind of like a beer bottle, okay? But they're plastic. And you grab it by the neck and you chuck it, and you're just trying to do the same thing, get that 12-6 spin with the bottles. It's kind of like axe throwing. If you ever did axe throwing before, usually you're here, but you're just kind of boom. Same concept. So, really shaping that curveball. You got a couple different drills that you can use for shaping the curveball. As we alluded in long toss, using your change-up grip during long toss to keep your arm speed through your change-up. Really, really important. That's pretty much it for shaping the curveball. A number of drills you can do there. If we say curveball flips, you're going to flip over your screen and use any one of the drills or training aids to help you work on that particular spin. Again, I'm Coach Pryor. Dream big, train hard.